Specifying height. In general practice, it is less common to specify the height of elements. It is more in keeping with the nature of the medium to allow the height to be calculated automatically, allowing the element box to change based on the font size, user or other factors. If you do specify a height for an element containing text, be sure to also consider what happens should the content not fit. Okay. Fortunately, CSS gives you some options, and we'll see in the next section. Handling overflow. When an element is set to a size that is too small for its content, it is possible to specify what to do with the content that doesn't fit using the overflow property. Okay, so overflow, visible, hidden, scroll, auto, inherit. 14.4. Okay, so this is options for handling. This is visible, it is still visible. This is hidden, this is scroll, this is auto, short text, this is auto, long text. Okay. In the figure, the weights values are applied to an element that is 150 pixels square. The background color makes the edge of the content area apparent. Visible. The default value is visible, which allows the content to hang over the element box so that it all can be seen. Hidden. When overflow is set to hidden, the content that does not fit gets clipped off and does not appear beyond the edges of the element's content area. Scroll. When scroll is specified, scroll bars are added to the element box to let the user scroll through the content. Scroll. When scroll is specified, scroll bars are added to the element box to let the user scroll through the content. Be aware that when you set the value to scroll, the scroll bars will always be there even if the content fits the specified user height just fine. Okay. The auto value allows the browser to decide how to handle overflow. In most cases, scroll bars are added only when the content doesn't fit and they are needed. Okay. Scrolling regions on mobile devices. As of this writing, the overflow properties is known to cause problem on some mostly older mobile devices, which is a shame because having a small scrollable area within a page is a nice space saver for some content. Some mobile browsers simply hide the overflow text, others add a scroll bar but require difficult to discover two finger scroll motion to control it. One solution to is yes, okay. Then padding. Padding is the space between the content area and the border, or the place the border would be if one isn't specified. I find it helpful to add padding. I find it helpful to add padding to elements when using a background color or a border. It gives the content a little breathing room and prevents the border or edge of the background from bumping right up against the text. Okay. You can add padding to the individual sides of any element, block level or inline. There is also a shorthand padding property that lets you add padding on all sides at once. Okay, so padding top, padding right, padding bottom and padding left. Right, length measurement percentage, then padding. Okay. The padding top, padding the padding top, padding right, padding bottom and padding left property specify an amount of padding for each side of an element as shown in this example. Property specify. Okay, so this is 1 em, 3 em on the left and on the bottom, each side of the element. I've added a background color to make the edges of the padding area apparent. Okay. Specify padding in any of the CSS length units, em or pixels are the most common, or as percentage of the width of the parent element. Yes, the parent's width is used as the basis even for top and bottom padding. If the width of the parent element changes, so will the padding values on all sides of the child element, which makes percentage values somewhat tricky to manage. The shorthand padding property. So we have padding top, padding right, padding bottom, padding left. The shorthand padding property. As an alternative to setting padding one side at a time, you can use shorthand padding property to add padding all around the element. The syntax, the syntax, the syntax is interesting. You can specify 4, 3, 2, 1. The syntax is interesting. You can specify 4, 3, 2, or 1 value for a single padding property. Let's see how that works. Starting with 4 values. The syntax isn't as an alternative. Okay, when you supply 4 padding values, they are applied to each side in clockwise order, starting at top. Okay, so top, right, bottom, and then left. Some people use the mnemonic device treble, top, right, bottom, left, for the order top, right, bottom, left, starting at the top. Okay, this is a common syntax for applying shorthand values in CSS. So take a careful look. Using padding property, we could reproduce the padding specified with the 4 individual properties in the previous example, like this. Okay, so top, right, then bottom and left. Okay. If the left and right padding are the same, you can shorten it by supplying only 3 values. Okay. The value for right, top right, the second value in the string will be mirrored and used for as well. Okay. It is as though the browser assumes the left value is missing, so it just uses the right value on both sides. The syntax for 3 is this. Okay. This rule will be equivalent to the previous example. Yeah, okay. Continues with this pattern if you provide only 2 values, the first one for the top and the bottom edges, and the second one is used for the left and right edges. Okay. Again, the same effect is achieved previously. Okay. Finally, if you provide just one value, it will be applied to all 4 sides of the element. This declaration applies 15 pixels of padding on all sides of the div element. Okay, the shorthand values. We have treble applied to all sides. This is top and left, right. This is top and bottom, and then left, right is same, and then specify. Adding a little padding. Okay. In this exercise, we'll use basic box property, okay, box sizing, to improve the appearance of a fictional shopping site, Genway.com. I've given you a big head start by marking up the source document and creating a style sheet that handles text formatting, colors, and backgrounds. Genway.html. Alright, so we have this document with body and style. Okay. So, okay, so I have this. Let me open it up. Okay, right. So it looks like this right now. How's maybe more about? Great. So you can go, and then figure 14.6 shows before and after shots of the Genway homepage. It's going to take a few exercises to get this page into presentable shapes, and padding is just the beginning. Okay, so we're going to add some padding. Oh, the navigation section is ugly, but don't worry, we'll turn it into a nice horizontal navigation menu in chapter 15. Start by opening genway.html in a browser and a text editor to see what you've got to work with. The document has been divided into 2 main divs, means intro and content, and hash content div is divided against into products and testimonials. The background colors have been added to the body, nav, products, and testimonials. Right, I've also added a gradient at the top of the page, and an exclamation point on the background of the testimonials div. The remaining rules are the formatting. Okay. The first thing we'll do is to add padding to the products div. Okay. So 1 em of padding all around ought to be fine. So I'll go padding equals 1 em. find the product sector and add the padding declarator. Padding selector and padding declaration. So where is product snap? Okay, so go padding 1 em. Right. Okay, so let's see the changes. Okay, and if I don't have any padding, okay, so all the products are padded, right? So when we add padding, we get a little area, right? Okay. Next, we'll get a little fancier with the testimonial section. I want to clear some space in the left side of the div so that my lifty exclamation point background image is visible. There are several approaches to applying different padding amounts to each side, but I'm going to do it in a way that gives the experience deliberately overriding earlier. Okay, so use the padding shorthand to add 1 em of padding on all sides on the testimonials div. Okay, so I'm going to, where are the testimonials? I'm going to add testimonials padding of 1 em, right? Okay, then write a second declaration that adds 55 pixel of padding to the left side only. Okay, then I want to go padding left is 55 pixels. Okay, because padding left declaration comes second, it will override the 1 em setting applied with padding shorthand property. Okay, so I have 1 em and then 55 pixels. So we should see the changes, and there we go. Okay, so it is more visible now. Okay, save your work and look at it in the browser. The testimonials and the product description, okay, how it should look at the end. Okay, before, no, okay. So let me get rid of padding. And how would it look like this? Okay, so this is all filled up, right? Oh shit. Okay, and then I add some padding. This is much nice. Great. Okay. Let's say we can look at it in the browser. The testimonials and product descriptions should look a little more comfortable in their boxes. Figure 47 highlights the padding additions. Okay, so these are the additions that, okay, to the content only, right? Not to the image, right? And a little here. Okay. Then we have borders. A border is simply a line drawn around the element content around the content area and its optional padding. Okay. You can choose from 8 border styles and make them any width and color you like. You can apply the border all around the element or just a particular side or sides. Oh, nice. CSS3 introduced properties for rounding the corners or applying images to borders. So that is great. You have border style. The style is the most important. The style is the most important of the border properties because according to the CSS specification, if there is no border style specified, the border does not exist. Okay, in other words, you must always declare the style of the border or the other border properties will be ignored. Okay, I think they should be blue as well. Okay. Then border style can be applied one side at a time or by using the shorthand border style property. The top style, right style, bottom style, and left style. Okay. Noted, sorry, dotted, dashed, solid, double, groove, ridge, inset, outset, inherit. The border style. Or we can have simple this border style. This is groove, ridge, inset, outset. So border style. The value of border style property is one of 10 keywords describing the available styles. There you go. Use the site specific border style properties to apply style to only one side of the element. If you do not specify a width, the default medium width will be used. Okay, width. Okay, if you do not specify the width, the default medium width will be used. If there is no color specified, the border uses the foreground color of the element, that is same as the text. So I have top, right, bottom. When I have applied different style to each side of a element to show the properties. Okay, 14:9. Okay, so double, right. The border style shorthand property works clockwise system for padding earlier. You can supply 4 values for all 4 sides of fewer values when left, right, bottom values are the same. Okay, the silly border effect in the previous example could also be specified as this, using the shorthand property as this. So we got top, right, then bottom and left. Border width. Use one of the border width properties to specify the thickness of the border. Once again, you can target each side of the element with a single property or specify several sides using the okay, so we have thin, medium and thick. These are the values. Defaults to medium. Okay, border size. The most common way to specify the border width of borders is using a pixel or EM measurement. However, you can specify one of the keywords thin, thick, and leave the rendering up to the browser. Okay, I've included a mix of values in the example 1410. Notice I've also included the border style property because if I didn't, the border would not render at all. This is important. Border style is important. Okay, so border style is to be defined. Right. We have not defined the box sizing. Right. Okay. So this is thin on top, medium, then thick on the bottom. Thin, medium, thick. Left is strict 12 pixels. Oh. Or simply this with border style. Then border color. The border color are specified in the same way using site specific properties or the border color shorthand property. When you specify a border color, it overrides the foreground color set by the color property element. Okay, so these are the same. Have I missed any notes? I don't think so. Okay. So subtle outlines. Keeping the color of the rule close to the background color and keeping the width of the rule quite thin, we can achieve a very subtle effect, creating a texture more strong than an outline. Keeping the color of the rule close to background color and keeping the width of the rule quite thin, we can achieve a very subtle effect, creating a texture more than a strong outline. Okay. The color. So we can define color names, RGB value. color name or RGB value. You know all about specifying color values, and you should be getting used to shorthand properties as well. So I'll keep this example short and sweet. So we have this color name. So this is okay. So on top and bottom we have maroon, and left and right we have aqua. Note CSS2 added the transparent keyword value for border colors that allow the background of the parent to show through the border, yet holds the width of the border as specified. This may be this may be useful when creating rollover hover effects with CSS because the space where the border will appear is maintained when the mouse is not over the element. Okay. So, uh, you know, you know all about specifying color values. You should be getting used to it. I'll keep starting through. Here I've provided two values for the shorthand border to make the top and to maroon left right. Aqua. Okay. There we go. Border style, border width. Okay, did I border width? Yes. Okay. In combining style with okay. The author of CSS didn't skimp when it comes to border shortcuts. They also created properties for providing style, width, and color values in one declaration, one side at a time. Okay, again you can specify the appearance of the specific sides or use the border property to change all four sides. Okay. Border. So border top, border right, this is for specific property, and this is for all. The values of border and the site specific border properties may include style, width, color values in any order. Okay, so this is important. You do not need to declare all three, but keep in mind that if the border style value is omitted, no border will render. So we have border left, this border bottom, and border this solid, and then left border only. So we have red, then we have width, and then we have style. Okay, the border shorthand property works a bit differently than other shorthand properties that we covered, in that it takes a set of values and always applies them to all four sides of the element. In other words, it does not use a clockwise triangle. Where the border shorthand property works different than other shorthand properties that we covered, in that it takes one set of values and always applies them to all four sides of the elements. Okay. In other words, it does not use clockwise stairwell system that we've seen. Okay, here's a smattering of valid border shortcuts. Okay, so it works on all sides. Bottom border only, left border only. Okay. Rounded corners with border radius. Okay. Boxes with rounded corners have become a trendy style element over recent years. Originally, rounded corners on web page could not only be made with images and extra markup. Originally, rounded corners on the web could only be made with images and extra markup. Now, thankfully, all current browser versions can put up rounded corners on elements using the CSS border radius property. That means fewer calls to the server to grab graphics and less Photoshop work for designers. In this section, we'll start with the code as it appears in the CSS3 spec, look at some examples, and finish with a few words about browser support. As we've seen for other properties, there are individual corner properties as well as border. Okay, there are individual corner properties as well as border radius shorthand. Okay, so these are bottom, top left, top right. Okay, bottom right, and obviously 4 points. Okay. To round off the corner of any element, simply apply one of the border radius properties, but keep in mind that you will see the results only if the element has a border or a different background color than the background page. Okay. Values are typically provided in EMs or pixels. Percentages are allowed and are nice for keeping the curve proportional to the box should it resize, but may you run into some browser inconsistencies. Okay. You can target You can target the corners individually or use the shorthand border radius property. If you provide one value border radius, it is applied to all four corners. Four values are applied clockwise starting on the top left corner. Okay, top left, top right, top bottom. When you supply two values, the first one is used top left and bottom right. Okay, top left and bottom right. And second one is for the this and this. Okay. I got it. Okay, compare the various border radius values to the resulting boxes in figure 1412. You can achieve many different effects from slightly softened corners to a long lozenge, lozenge shape depending on how you set the values. So this is okay with top right radius. Then this is top left radius is 1 em, top right radius is 2 em, bottom. Okay, so these are same and these are 2 okay. Or border radius 1 em. Okay, new border radius. Okay, all right, that's 50 pixels for all. Then we have elliptical corners. So far the corners we've made are sections of perfect circles, but you can also make a corner elliptical by specifying two values, the first for the horizontal radius and the second for the vertical radius. Okay, these are part of an ellipse. Okay. So far the corners we've made are sections of perfect circles, but you can also make a corner elliptical by specifying two values, the first for the horizontal radius, the second for the vertical radius. Okay. Top right radius. Okay, these are radiuses. Okay. If you want to use a shortened property, the horizontal and vertical radii get separated by slash, otherwise it'd be confused by different corner values. Okay. The following examples. Okay, the following example sets horizontal. Uh, okay, this is A, this is B, and this is C. So if you want to see something really nifty, take a look at border radius shorthand property that specifies a different ellipse for each of the four. Okay, left, right. Okay, hold up. This is first corner. This is second corner. I don't know. Okay, so we can left radius. Sorry, this is horizontal. First horizontal radius and vertical radius. And if you want to shorthand property, the horizontal and vertical radii. If you want to use the shorthand property. Okay. This is one. I don't know. Okay. You want to say the property specify all of the horizontal values are lined up on the left of the slash in the clockwise order. Top left, top right, bottom left, and all top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right, and all of the corresponding vertical values are lined up on the right. Okay, so these are all the horizontal values and these are all the vertical values. Okay, so horizontal and vertical. Okay, got it. Browser support. As I mentioned earlier, the current version of all major browsers now support the border radius using CSS3 specification syntax. That's good news. The longer story is that earlier versions of Safari, Chrome, Firefox have been supporting rounded corners for a while now, but they had their own syntax with browser prefixes. Yes. And then there's Internet Explorer, which has no border radius support at all prior to version 9. Okay. So So what to do about I6 through 8? Chances are the success and usability of site doesn't depend on rounded corners, so this is a good opportunity to practice progressive enhancement. It's perfectly okay square boxes and better box browser get a little something extra. If for some reason it is mandatory for boxes to be rounded in older versions of IE as well, you need to okay, yield radius prefixes. Older versions of Firefox and WebKit browsers only support border radius with their own vendor prefix properties. Unlike Internet Explorer versions that stick around for a decade, other browsers get upgraded automatically more regularly. Okay, wait. Okay, I need to check. Are vendor prefixes still used in CSS? Let's go. Okay, yes, vendor prefixes are still in use in CSS, but the usage has significantly decreased over time. Here's a concise overview. Modern browsers, okay, most modern browsers now support standardized CSS properties, so vendor prefixes are less commonly needed. Like say they are still used for older browsers for experimental features that haven't been fully standardized. Okay. Right. Okay. So for that reason many developers have already stopped using prefixes for border radius. The area where this still might come in handy is on some older mobile browsers. So if rounded corners on early Android versions are important to your product, you may want to include WebKit prefixes. Picture perfect borders. Here we are 8 pages into a discussion on CSS borders. Who knew there could be so much to say about lines around boxes? I've saved the fanciest and trickiest border treatment for last. In this section we'll look at using the border image property to fill the sides of a corner of a border box with an image of your choice. This property eliminates the need to cut up separate image files and add a bunch of useless markup to contain them. Now single image can be applied around an element using CSS. Okay. It should be noted that as of this writing, no version of Internet Explorer support border images. So best you can do is provide a pleasant and functional fallback color or border style. The browsers that do support browser images, like Chrome, Firefox, require their respective vendor prefixes to get them to work. Okay, so border image source, border image slice, border image width, border image outset, and border image. These are the values. Okay. Let's kick off this discussion with a visual to give you an idea of what I am talking about. Figure 14-4 shows two elements and the respective images used to fill their boxes. Okay. Notice that the corners of the image fill the corners of the element exactly. Okay. The corners of the image. The sides of the element can be set to stretch as shown on the top bottom tile. Okay, now the code. The border image shorthand property as it is supported as of this writing includes 3 parts. The sidebar, 3 parts, 40. Okay. So we have URL, then B and C. Okay. 3 parts, 3 the sidebar, body image spec for the details. The border image spec. According to CSS3, border image is a shorthand property that includes following 5 individual properties: border image source, border image slice, provide measurement to the 4 slice lines listed clockwise. Border image width specifies the width of the border using the clockwise trouble method for specifying values. Border image outset indicates a distance for the image to hang out over the border. Okay. And border image repeat specifies how the image should fill in the sides, stretch, repeat, or round. Currently, no browser supports these individual properties, so you always use the shorthand border image property for adding images. In addition, because border image width causes browser bugs and border image outset is not supported by any browser, I've omitted these properties from the border image discussion. Okay. Okay. The URL, the URL notation A contains location of the border image file, right? The next value indicates the position of the slice lines that divide the image into 9 sections. Okay, these sections, right? The measurements are offsets from each edge of the image listed. Okay, top, then right. Okay, so from top 55, from right 55, right? Top 55, right 55, bottom. Okay, so this is from the top. Hold up. Okay, so in the same trouble pattern, value shortcuts can be used, such as providing one value to move the slice lines the same distance from all edges. Okay, trouble top, bottom. Okay, this is the top, bottom, from bottom 55 and left from left 55, I think. Okay, so this is left, right, this is bottom. Okay, this is top and this is bottom. Okay, right, the values can be shown. Okay. Right, when specifying pixel measurements, you can omit the pix unit. Percentages may also be specified. Okay, the final keyword, which is stretch. Okay. The final keyword describes how to fill in the sides of the border. The value a stretch, which stretches the image to fit naturally. Repeat, which tiles the images. And round, which repeats the image but stretches over, squishes it a little to make it fit exactly without any partial bits left over. The round value is not currently supported by Safari or Chrome. Repeat is user instead. Repeat is used, although that may change in future versions. Okay, you take a little break. Okay, here's the style rule that creates the fancy frame border. 1414. Where is 1414? Okay. So your border width is 55 pixels. Right. Leave 55 around all, and then we go stretch. Okay. Leaving off the vendor prefix properties for now to keep it simple. Okay. The source of the border image is fancyframe.png because the slice points are the same on all four sides. 55 pixel. I only need to specify the value 55 once. Note that no unit is required for pixels. Finally, the stretch keyword indicates that the size of the box are to be filled by stretching the sides of the graphic as a fallback or specify the background color and border color to the same bright yellow orange from the center of the border image. Okay. Internet Explorer images will get a box and the same size and color, but without the frame image. Right. Different types of border image may suggest other fallback solutions, but since this one was so thick, I felt the best thing to do was fill it with a solid color. So here's how the rule looks with all its browser prefixes. If you venture into border images, your rules will look like this one too. Be sure to put the standard non-prefix property last. Okay. Okay. Here's the style rule for the dotted border image. Okay, for the dotted border image, this. Okay. So we are at 10 pixels. Okay, from the top end we have 20 pixels, and from the we have this. Okay. Then we have here's the style rule for the dotted border image. It differs in the top because we have to provide different right 20 and 10, 20 and 10, 20 and 10. Right. Okay. Here's the style. It differs in that the top and sides are different widths. Thus, two border image slice in border with values. Okay, border width and I have set the repeat to round to fill the space between repeating tiles resized to fit exactly. Note that WebKit browsers currently display round as a simple repeat. Okay. According to CSS3 specs, browsers should not render the center of the image by default, but all browsers today display the center of the image in the center of the element. The center area stretches or repeats as specified for the border. If you want to provide a different background color or image in the background of the content box, create the border image graphic with a transparent center so that background shows through. Okay. Then we have exercise 14.2 border tricks. Right. Okay, so we'll copy this. In this exercise, we'll have some fun with borders on Genway homepage. In addition to putting several borders around the corner sections of the page, we'll use borders to beef up the product headlines and as an alternative to underlines under the links. Okay. Use Genway in a text editor if it isn't already. We'll start with the basics by using a shorthand border property to add a light orange double rule around the products. Okay, so we have a double rule. Okay, double border. The shade should be light enough as not to call too much attention to itself. Add the new declaration. Okay, so we have the Janware in this one. I have to open. Okay, so Siri to exercise 14.2. Sorry, Siri to exercise. Ah. Okay. uh, right, so I'm going to, and okay, open. We'll start with the basics by using the shorthand border property to add a light orange double rule. Okay, double border, right? Double border. Okay, so we'll go products double border, and this is the color. Okay, products. So here we are going to add the border property with double, and then the color, which is FFBC 53. Okay, so let's see the changes. This is the default. Like in the products, we should have a border. Let me open it up. Okay, so now I have border here, a double border, which is not here. Okay, this is the product. Okay. Right. Next, let's let's give the testimonial section rounded corners. They won't show up for this in some old browsers, but that doesn't really hurt anything. Testimonials, border radius is 20 pixels, so all corners will be okay. So we'll go to testimonials, and I'm going to specify border radius is 20 pixel. Okay, so let's see the changes. I don't see a border because I should specify a border style, right? Okay, there is nothing here. Okay, testimonials, sorry. Testimonials, here it is this. Here we have rounded corners. Okay, great. Okay. You have, just for fun and practice, will add a decorative border on two sides of the product category headings H3. I want the borders to be same color as the text. Okay, I want the borders to be same color as that. Okay, so we don't need to specify the border color. Here says the border style is like necessary for border to show, but we are not using border style. I don't know. Yeah, I want the borders to be the same color as the text, so we don't need to specify border color. Find the existing rule h3 elements, the div, and add a declaration that adds 1 pixel solid rule. Okay, so 1 pixel top, 1 pixel bottom, border top, double. Okay, so this is the border style. Okay, a double style, right? This is the border style, solid. Okay, that is right. Okay, so we have, we're going and padding of left 1 em. Okay, so finding h3 that adds the thicker solid rule on the left side. Okay, finally, to prevent the text from bumping into left, we can add a little padding to the left of the headline content. Okay, so we have border top. I'm going to product h3. Okay, so border top 1 pixel solid, then border left 3 pixels, I think. Yeah, 3 pixels solid, and then we are adding a little padding on the left of 1 em. Okay. The last thing we'll do is replace the standard text underline under the links with a decorative button bottom border. Start by turning the underline off, length by setting text declaration none on A elements. Okay, so let me check this on H3. Okay, these are the H3s, right? There's nothing. Baby wear on the hey. Oh, a bad. Right, there we go. 3 pixel bar wear, baby wear. These borders. Okay, and a little padding to the left, right? Okay, then we go into the lengths. We switch him off. Where are the lengths? A length, A active, link styles. There is no. Okay. Okay, so text decoration none. Text decoration is none. So I should see the effects. There we go. Okay, then now add 1 pixel dotted border around the bottom edge of the link by adding bottom border 1 pixel dotted. Okay, so go bottom border 1 pixel dotted. Bottom border. Okay, but the color is this, but I can't see. I think I would have to you know, I cannot really see it. I think it is being overridden. Yes. Okay, so I go here and I define it at the last. Color is FF0. Which no. Text decoration is none. Does it even have? Nope. Bottom border. Bottom border or border bottom? Sorry, not bottom border. It's border bottom. My bad. There we go. Okay. I could have added it up here as well. Right. So we go. Notice that we want the border to have the same color as the length. We do not want to specify a color. However, if you try this on your own page, you can easily change the color and style of the bottom border. As is often the case when you add a border to an element, it is a good idea to also add a little padding to keep things from bumping together. Add some padding to the bottom edges only like so. Okay, padding bottom 0.1 em. Okay, right. So there we have it. So we'll continue right here.